Well, here we are, Wednesday morning meeting at Come Walk With Me, and we've got 7 guys, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, myself 8 here, and the ladies have already set up a...
That's a quorum.
Yes, that is. Morning, Walter.
Good morning. You had one that didn't work.
Yeah, sure did. It happens now and then.
I've been watching them.
Yeah, it turns out that if I put this system on charge on a computer, it doesn't fully charge. And so the battery ran out. So I have to remember each time to, okay, we're getting ready to start the meeting. And Brother Rick is at the podium. We'll do this. Ready.
Ladies and gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
We do not have a flag, and we cannot offer our pledge this morning, but we can offer a blessing. Richard, would you please do that for us?
I will. Dear gracious and Heavenly Father, it's so nice to be here this morning, out here in your world. We thank you, dear Lord, for what they do here and how they help people here. So what our mission is to do at Rotary is to help others that need help. So thank you, dear Lord, for all what they do. Thank you for this food that they prepared for us and the hands that did just that. Be with us, dear Lord, as we continue our week, and bless the food to our bodies. For in Jesus we pray. Amen.
Wayne will dispense with Wayne's World today, so he can sort of gear up and go full bore next week.
Well, we thought about riding a horse would select someone in here to ride, so that is a consideration. Maybe Michael.
We might do that at the ending of our program today. Our program today is Where We Are, and we did have a presentation a while back on Walk With Me, and seeing it in person is a little bit different than hearing about it. And so, Jennifer, you will give us our program today. First of all, thank you for hosting us. Thank you for this wonderful food.
Yes.
You guys want to over and above board, but we do thank you for that, and we'll take advantage of all that. So Jennifer, it is all yours. Would you share with us what this is all about?
Yes, so I wanted y'all to come today and thank you for, how about if I go this way? Would that be easier for everybody to see? I want to thank you guys for coming today. This is my farm, and we bought this farm, my husband and 4 children, about 5-6 years ago. And when I come and spoke with you guys, it's one thing to hear kind of what I'm trying to do out here. It's another thing to see it and experience it. So I wanted you all to come out. I'm going to give a demonstration out in the arena, and then anybody that would like to come out and participate or try or just meet the horses, you're more than welcome to do that. Also, if you want to take a tour, there's horses that are in the stalls. Emily, Jody, and Colleen are all part of my board for Walk With Me, but they also are all horse handlers.
That's
So
Emily,
they're moving toward
Jody,
becoming an
and
equine
Colleen.
specialist, and that's kind of what I am, an equine specialist in mental health and learning. So hopefully we'll be adding some ESs over the next year or so. So they can certainly tell you about any of the horses that you see here. We do some horse rescue. We have 3 horses that are here from the feedlot. What that is a feedlot is where horses go right before slaughter. So these are the horses that nobody wants. They may have behavioral issues. It just really runs the gamut. Sometimes you find a really good horse that you just kind of luck upon. And you wonder, why am I here? Why are they there, you know? And there he is.
There's your answer.
Yeah. So that little fella right there came from a feedlot, and he's 1.5 years old, and he's an intact male. And so I went to have him gelded a couple weeks ago, and he only dropped one. So I have to wait to see, maybe by 2, if we could geld him. So I'm really kind of upset that he has it, because then they have to do surgery, and if they don't find it, he has to stay a stallion. And if he's not reproducing, that's not a very good life. So there's going to be some hard decisions possibly in the next 6 months to a year for him. Anyway, so not only is the therapy good for people, but it also helps the horses. So we rehabilitate the horses. There's a black and white paint that's over here, and you'll see him. He came to us from a feedlot, and we couldn't even touch his head when he came. We're not sure what happened. He's been with me for 1.5 years now, and I've started using him in therapy because he's ready. He started trusting two-legged critters again and saying, you know what, y'all aren't that bad. So he's a fantastic horse when you go over there and see him. So with that being said, as you work with your relationship horse, you're going to find out what they like, what they don't like, where they like to be touched and where they don't. So for Diesel, we just say, okay, you don't want your head touched, but you have to be able to let me put the halter on. So that's kind of how we approach it. But today he'll let you touch and pet his face. Now if he doesn't know you, he's going to maybe pull away a little bit, and so those are all behaviors that you can watch as you work with the horses. I have 2 horses that are pulled in the arena. Typically in therapy I don't tell you any history of them. Gwen is a Shire, and she is about 6 years old. She came when she was 2, and the owner got sick and couldn't keep her. And so I bought her from the owner, and she's been here. I broke her to saddle. I started ground driving her a little bit. She's a workhorse, so Shires are a draft breed. She wants to work. She wants to pull a plow. She wants to pull a wagon. She does not do that here, but that's really where her heart lies. River's the other horse that's out there, and that's my second oldest daughter's horse, and he's been with me probably 8 years. And so he's just a really good, gentle horse. I use him for summer camps and all that other stuff. So I owned a horse barn over off Highway 10, Probst Crossroads, and I had about 23 horses that I was boarding and doing horse camps and training. And as I told y'all before, I got lots of letters from people, thank you for changing my family's life, my daughter's life, and I said I need to do this with more purpose. And God was really instrumental in moving me in that direction. I really drug my feet for several years thinking, it can't be me. I don't have the skill set to do this. And he kept saying, yeah, you do. We're going to prepare you. I've given you some really great gifts. I've given you some really nice horses. I've given you a nice farm. Now I want you to use it. And so I said, all right, I'm going to trust you, and we're going to jump into this pool. And so I've done that, and I've had such tremendous success. Just yesterday, we had an EC class that came out last year, a contained class from Newton Conover Elementary. For 2 kids in particular, one was in the juvenile court system, and the other one was said to be without emotion. And I think I told y'all that story. There was another little boy that was in that class, and his grandma called me 2 weeks ago and said, can I bring him out because he really would like to see Zan. Zan was his relationship horse. I said, that's great, let's schedule it over break. I don't have a lot going on, we can fit you in. They came out yesterday, and I am telling you, he is now in middle school, he is now mainstreamed, and he's getting straight A's. And I was just, you know, I can't tell you how happy and proud I was for that young man. Now she said it's not all good because he's short and little, and they pick on him and they bully him, so he's got into some trouble for fighting back. But, you know, we talked about that yesterday, and, you know, he said he hadn't been in trouble in 2 months. So I'm just, I'm tickled. And we're starting a re-entry. I don't know if I told you all this, re-entry. So, you know, God, I would have never opened that re-entry door, which is prisoners coming out into society. And God said, you know what, I need you to open this door. And I said, man, I'm scared. You know, I've got my family here. I'm a woman. I don't know if I really want to take that path. And he said, you know what, I'm going to open every door for you. And he did. And I have my first re-entry client that comes out. And he has a job now as a crane operator. And he's really excited about making changes and becoming productive in society. He's working on relationships and how to mend the trauma that's happened to him. So I'm really excited about that. We've got a couple veterans that are coming for individual sessions, so I'm really excited about that. Another door got opened that I would have never opened for homeless. And talk about the trauma that they experience. So I said, you know, I've tried that route. They've stolen stuff. You know, and I'm really guarded against that kind of stuff. And my heart was kind of hardened. And God said, you know what? We're going to walk through this door together. And He sent me a married couple that was homeless. That they weren't married when they got homeless. They were on drugs. They were living in a tent. The whole 9 yards. She got down on her knees, prayed to God, and said, look, I can't do this anymore. 36 years old, I'm done. Please take this from me. He did. They got clean. They went to a shelter, and they met some key people. And those key people met me, and I said, you know what? I'm looking for somebody to come out and help clean the barn, clean the stalls, move horses. So now she is employed here with me. They don't miss work. They show up. If they were sick twice, but they came on Saturday to make the day up. He comes with her to just help, just to volunteer and be here. Through the process, they have been baptized, and they did get married. And so just a lot of great things. Anyway, I wanted to share that with you guys. Y'all have any questions or anything that you want to ask me? Talk about?
You've left us speechless.
I see that. Goodness. Okay. Well, my farm, in case y'all want to know, Section House and County Home Road kind of run parallel. And so we own from here all the way out to Section House Road. So on the other side, next to Republic, where they fix the trucks and the dumpsters and stuff off Section House, our land goes all the way out, and we're their neighbor. So you'll hear banging and stuff like that from that. Those are my hay fields and horse trails and stuff like that. So do horses get burnt out? Of course they do. They're just like us, right? So I try to take really good precaution on what they need to help after therapy sessions. It's hard on them just like it's hard on us, just like it's hard on the therapist and the clients. So we try to figure out what do they need for their healing. So a lot of my horses, because I do a lot of quarter horses, they trail ride. So we take them out, we have fun, we run, we do hills, we do creeks, we jump. I don't jump, the kids jump trees and stuff like that. And that's their play. They love it. They have fun doing it. And then they always get out time. So they can go out and they can just eat grass and just be a horse. So if they don't have to work, they may get 2 days off in a row and they just go be a horse.
And so the program, you're going to show us around.
Yes.
All right, but before you do that, got something to share with you. So, Gavin, get your camera.
Captain's got his tip.
You have a nice trip? Yes, I do.
See you next fall.
You may have already gotten one of these from us,
And I use it.
and we have two more for you. And again, just so you know, this coaster which says Hickory Sunrise Rotary Club was made by our own Wayne Honeycutt down at Wayne, let him know who you are. He makes these. We have another one for you, so you can share this with somebody else. But after your presentation last time, the group got talking, and it was brought up that we'd like to make a financial contribution to Walk With Me. So from our Rotary Club to you, would you please accept this check for $500? And thank you very, very much. In absence of a business session, we'll take care of business next week. As far as I'm concerned, the formal meeting is over, so we might as well end with
The things we think, say, or do. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Bing!
ding ding.
We're here, Rosie is her name. I got her about 4 years ago. Have since sold her to a young lady. I bought her sight unseen and went to pick her up, and the guy says, "Oh, she might be pregnant." And I said, "Really?" She foaled the next day. Yes, might be. So, in the horse world, we lovingly call those twofers. 2 for 1. That guy back there is the guy from the feedlot that wouldn't let you touch him. So he's really come a long way. I'm very pleased with him. And this little fella right up here, that's my stallion. So he came unhandled. He was an unhandled colt. He didn't know what a person was when he got here. And some of you have had really great success touching him, and I think that's wonderful. Yep.
Yeah, but could you get a picture of most of us standing near a horse that we can put in the newsletter?
Yes. I got it. Here we go. Yes, sir. No, that's not official. That's a stallion, but not a horse. Look at me.
You might want to shoot that way because that'll create a silhouette.
If y'all want to get done that way, I think.
Don't want it backlit.
This guy's really friendly, so.
Would you like to be in the picture instead of being the cameraman? All right. Bob, how about you? You guys want to be in the picture?
Come on, Bob, can you get up here now? Don't be shy.
Our district has a newsletter, and we need to get in it more. This would be
All right,
perfect.
scooch in. Act like you like each other.
You can see the
There
horse.
you go. All right, everybody look this way.
You want me to shake
See
Grant?
the horse?
Yeah, let's get dude. He's kind of sideways. There he goes. There we go. Everybody look this way. There we go.
Can you look?
What's the matter, Steve?
I'm just shooting pictures. You
Wants
guys
to be in
just
the
like-
picture.
There you go.
Very
All
good.
right, see if you like any of
Thank you very
those.
much.
Thank you very
You're
much.
welcome.
That's a big horse.
Yeah, if you would, whoever's camera that was, if you would share those with me,
Yeah.
would be great.
Do I have your email address or something?
Did you get?
Yeah, I didn't bring any business cards up, but I will get some.
Or
I won't let
Glenn
Joe.
probably has your email, doesn't he? Has he been corresponding with you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Glenn has it.
Glenn has it? Oh,
yeah. Yep.
we'll do that.
Uh-huh.
He cleared the fence last night from almost a standstill.
Oh, is that why he's in here?
That's why he's in here. That's why he's in here. I thought, oh, well, we might have a little jumper.
Well, probably. Somebody would love that, right? Jen, how many horses do you have on?
We have 16 here approximately. I tell everybody I never actually do a count because they always ask me in front of my husband.
I understand.
So I give it an ish, 16-ish.
Around, yep.
Yes.
You got it. There's a,
Yeah.
Is a Shire akin to a Belgian?
They're not kin to. They're a draft family.
Oh, okay.
So you have your Belgians,
Just
your
by characteristic.
Clydesdale. Yes,
Okay.
by the bone structure.
Gotcha.
So if you look at her legs, you'll see that they're thicker. Her
Yeah, she's got
hooves-
socks on too. Okay.
Yes, so we call those feathers.
Yeah. Like a Belgian.
Yes.
The guy down at the other side of Newton behind Burger King has had Belgians in the
Yep,
past.
the Peacock Inn. He sold
Yes.
them all, and now it's a winery.
Oh,
Y'all
geez.
need a hand up on there?
No. It's amazing though. You get some people get like we used to take people on trail rides,
Yes.
and especially on Christmas time on the sleighs,
Yep.
and the people. The horse starts passing gas.
Yeah. Yeah, they are. And they laugh too because my kiddos are fascinated when they go to the bathroom. Oh my goodness.
It's like the kids up in Bucks County. They have bumper stickers on their buggy that don't step in my exhaust.
Yeah. So this is where therapy usually happens, is out in the arena. Everything we do is outside. First of all, everybody spends too much time inside, so I prefer to do everything. We do our intake out here, everything out here. When trauma happens, we shut down, right? We don't want to feel anymore. We start waking those senses back up. What do you hear? So I ask the client, quiet. Do you hear the birds? So they hear the footsteps, they hear all that good stuff. What do you feel? You would be amazed at how many people don't tell you they feel the breeze on their skin, right? So we take a lot of that for granted, but we start waking that up. We start saying, can you feel, can you hear, can you smell? So one of the reasons why therapy also it works so well with the horses is because we pitch you, most people in a high stress situation, when you're out there with a 1,200-pound horse, and you have to be in the moment, because you got to be watching what's happening. You don't want to be stepped on, so on and so forth. Now we're going to ask you some questions. We got you stressed. We got you in the lower part region of your brain, fight, flight, or freeze. Now we're going to start asking you some questions. That question asking creates that path back up to the neocortex, the thinking part of your brain. So you get into the lower regions of the brain, right, which is survival. Now how fast can you go back up to your neocortex to think through what's happening? Also, when you're in that situation, it's very hard for people who have experienced trauma to keep the lid on the box that the gremlin's in. So that gremlin pops his head up pretty quickly using the horses. It's hard to keep it down. So the white horse is Gwen. She's the Shire. The fur on her feet are called feathers. And so she's the draft breed. She pulls and stuff. You can see by the thickness of her legs. Buddy, when she runs at you, the whole earth moves. So I had her out here. I had a high school at-risk youth group that came out, and she was out here with Leo, the 20-year-old, right? She was in heat, and they were doing a lot of things that they shouldn't have been doing in front of these high school kids, right? So I said to the teacher, I was like, you tell me, I'm pulling one of them. You know, my heart rate, I'm up in the air. She's like, no, we're going to leave it and we're going to process it. I said, we're going to process it. So, which was great, but we went to try to go take her out because the relationship horses had been picked. Needless to say, Leo and Gwen were not one of them. And pulled her out, we tried to pull her out, and buddy, she took off. We call a timeout, everybody comes to the middle, and she is bucking and rearing, and just the whole arena is shaking, right? And I'm like, oh, you know, as a horse person, I'm coming apart. And so she calms down, and I say to everybody, if you don't feel comfortable, you can leave the arena now. It was a mass exodus. I think myself and Colleen were the only two that were left in the arena. And I had some football players that were out, and they about cleared that fence. So it was good. It was fun. Anybody have any questions?
Yeah, for the benefit of one of our members, do horses get dental work?
Yes,
Yes,
they do.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I've seen them a few times.
Good old rasp file.
Yeah.
We call it floating teeth. So what we do is we take a speculum and we jack their mouth open. They can't hold their mouth open. Naturally, it's always closed, okay? So we hold their mouth open and they take a file that's probably this long. The file itself is only this wide. And they get hooks on the side of their teeth. And it cuts their cheeks and it cuts their tongues. So we have to do that and file it down. You should have it done once a year, especially for your older horses. Your younger horses, I tend to go a little bit longer doing it, maybe every 2 to 3 years.
Why would that not happen to wild?
We pamper our horses, right? So we've created a pampered breed. They don't have to search for food. They don't have to eat brambles. They don't have to eat undesirable grasses to fill their bellies. They have beautiful pasture, they have hay, and they have grain, not part of their natural diets. So that's what causes that. And so same thing with their hooves. Our horses aren't traveling 20, 30 miles a day to find food, to find water, to survive. So that's how their feet get worn down, is by going over the rocks and stuff. So they don't have to have barrier work either. So our horses are pretty pampered. My horses I try to keep as natural as possible. They eat from the ground, even in their stalls, so that their head is down. They always get out time. So a lot of people ask the question, you know, it's cruel to keep your horse in the stall, right? And they take offense to that. My horses love their stall time. And it's like us needing some downtime, right? They don't have to fight anybody for food at that point. Their pan is their pan. If you see them out, they fight constantly over the best grass, over, if I were to bring grain out here and put one pile, these two would fight over it. And the more dominant horse will win. Now, we don't use dominant in therapy, but you have your herd leader, and they will eat all the grain, and then the lesser horses get whatever's left, which is usually nothing. So they like their stall. Also, when they come into their stall, they can relax and lay down and sleep. Horses eat 18 out of 24 hours a day, so they don't sleep very much. You'll see the hay bags hanging. Those are slow feeders, so they have to eat slower, so it takes them longer to eat their hay. And I do that too, so that they don't get stall vices. So if I were to keep my horses in the stall all day, every day, without a lot of out time, they create stall vices. Cribbing is one of them, where they put their front teeth on a thing and suck in, and that actually releases dopamine, and it actually gets them high. So they eventually start doing it, not because of the act itself, but because they're getting high. They become addicted. So they do that, they weave in their stall to create motion, all that good stuff. So in therapy, after we do some observation, we got to talk, how do horses talk to each other? Well, we use body language and energy, right? So is it okay for me to go ask her to work right now? And so that's part of the assessment that you ask the client to make. Is it okay for me to ask her? And sure it is, because she's been out here eating for the last hour, right? So she had her needs met. And I'm going to come up and I put pressure. Her gas pedal is her back end. Her head is her brake. Okay? So if I come up and I put pressure here, what's she doing?
Ignoring.
She's ignoring me, right? So I've got to ask, tell, insist, and that's how conversations happen. If you're sitting there watching TV and your wife needs your attention and she asks you, right, you got three choices. You could comply, you could, I'm not sure I understand what you're asking, or you could ignore, right? So what happens if you ignore? right? It's not good, right? So she increases that pressure to get your attention. Same thing here. What's she doing now? She's ignoring, right? So I might have to get a little bit big, and we use this as a microphone, a tool. So this will create energy to get her to pay attention, because she's like, you know what? I don't really need to listen right now, right? So if I go, you see the difference? So she said, oh, okay, you're there, I see you. But then she went right back to eating. Good girl. So I just had a conversation with her, and I said, can you give me your attention for a minute? And she said, sure, I could. She turned, she said, what do you need? So what did I communicate back to her? I said, not really, I don't need anything, because I walked away to talk to you guys, and she went back to her food, okay? So once you get connection in a healthy relationship, horses connect the same way humans connect. So once you get connection, husbands and wives, they have detachment with connection. So one can go to work, but yet they're still connected. If you don't have that connection, that's where you have your divorce and some other issues that are happening. So I'm going to ask her again. I always start with an ask, tell, insist. So my ask is approaching her. She sees me already. She's like, yeah, I know you're there, but you're gonna have to ramp it up a little bit.
Get one of those bags, get my wife's attention.
So I kept asking until she moved away from the hay and turned and looked at me. Once I get connection, she could follow me through the obstacles. I'm going to try River and see if he'll do it for me. Anybody have any questions?
Yeah, sure.
I'm going through this really, really fast.
He's ready. He said, come talk to me.
So, River tends to be an easy horse for me to connect with because I've owned him for so long. Now, sometimes they don't do it. They got a mind of their own. I did a demonstration with some kids, and I said, is he behind me? And they're, no! And they loved it because the horse wouldn't connect with me. Those kids came out and that horse connected. So y'all think might be the hay bag that he's connected to? I'm going to set it over here.
Hey, where you going?
He's going to help you.
There we go, right? Relationship. If you've experienced trauma, this is really hard to do. It's really hard to do for a lot of people. And so after you can start getting connection with your horse, we start building obstacle courses. We start building circles. Can you get your horse into the circle, all 4 feet? Then can you get your horse to step out without touching him? Right? That's really hard to do. Setting boundaries, being assertive. So our abused women, right, Can they set good, healthy boundaries? Can they be assertive in asking for what they need? So those are all things that we work on as we go through this. Would anybody like to come out and meet the horses and try? Everything we do is at liberty, which means they're not haltered with a lead rope. And the reason why is because it's choice, right? If I put a halter and lead rope on, do they have a choice? No, we take that choice away. So that was one thing. I had to experience the therapy to be able to do this. And that was one thing I found. I went to my first class and I was like, what are you going to teach me about horses? I'm a horse trainer, right? So within the first 5 minutes of the therapy I experienced, I would get connection with the horse and I would step out. And she says, why? And I was like, I don't do that. And she's like, yeah, you do. So I did it again. I got connection and I stepped out. It's because I buy and sell horses. I get the connection, but then I cut it. So that was interesting. The other thing I learned pretty quick within my first session is normally horse trainers are, it's my way or the highway, and you're task oriented. So if you're at A, you need to get to D, and that you have a plan of action to do that. So I never gave my horses any choice.
What's that horse's name?
You got 3 horses in the stall.
See if you can connect with that one.
Yeah, I can. See, just like this.
How you doing, huh?
You didn't have to wave that bag at
I didn't either.
It works, though.
Yeah. But it's body language and it's pressure, right? So that works a lot with your teenagers. As a parent, you ask your teenager to do the dishes, right? Will you do the dishes for me? They have a couple of choices. They could comply and do them, they could ignore you, or they could try to figure out what you're asking them to do. So if they ignore you, I need you to do the dishes now. You see how I just went from an ask to a tell. Then my insist is, I need you to do the dishes now or I'm taking your phone for 1 day. They have to know that that consistent ask, tell, insist is there. So if you went right in and started spanking them right away or started taking their phone, they're going to be like, why are you doing that? Because you haven't made a request. So as moms, sometimes it's harder for us to make that request with our kids and to lay out the consequences. I need you to do the dishes by 5 o'clock, please. You've put time on it, you've put parameters. And so they have to know that the consequences to follow. Does that make sense?
What is the insist for a horse?
The hay bag is the insist.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So that just magnifies body energy. So you saw me first thing I did. Jody, if you want to take them down there, you can. Which horse would you like to meet? Okay. So we get that a lot, either one, right? So he wants us to pick for him, and we're not going to. So that really pulls people. It's a hard thing because now I'm going to start making you make decisions. I'm not going to pick which horse do you want to meet, right?
Do the horses ever pick?
All the time. All the time. So what we find too in therapy, especially with drug addiction, they'll pick the easiest horse that comes up to them first. That's the donkey. Yeah.
And what was you said about a wife?
Oh, are you in trouble?
We got that on film.
We got that on tape, buddy.
Speaking of wives, right? So what happens if she never ramps up to an insist? What does that become? Begins with an N. Y'all call us. Yeah, I knew you would get it. Right, so if we never ramp up what we're asking, it becomes nagging. Nobody likes nagging. The horses don't like nagging. Your teenagers don't like nagging. And especially y'all don't like nagging, right?
That horse don't like you, Kenny.
Right? So,
This could be your first failure.
It's never a failure, right? So what we teach is control, what's happening inside of you. And so that's part of the process, is understanding and naming the emotions. Can you name what you're feeling?
Don't eat the horse's food, Kenny.
Don't eat the horse, Kenny. I'm so hungry I could eat horse.
So he turned and he gave him a little bit of attention, and then he said, I'm going to go back to eating right now.
Sorry, who are we talking about, the horse or Kenny?
That's that horse grade over time, is that the color?
Yes, he is called a roan. He's a quarter horse. His color is a roan. So you can have a blue roan, which is actually a black horse with white tips, and it looks like a blue color. He is a red roan, so he's like a red velvet cake that you frost when it's too hot. His actual color is red, but the tips of his hair are white. I love roans. They just have a lot of different colors in them. Their personalities are the same though as the horse. The color doesn't make the horse.
Kenny, can you turn around for a photograph?
Kenny, look up. Insist.
Can you get the horse to look up, Kenny?
As they brush, we learn a lot too about how they brush, right? So you got your kids with ADHD, right? And they're brushing here and here and they're all over the place. There's no rhythm. Remember how we did the rhythm the last time? So we teach that rhythm to the kiddos and to really anybody. So we brush a 1, 2, 3, 4 offhand. 1, 2.
So what we've learned is Kenny's pretty good at horsing around.
That's true. So counting through it, you'll notice 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we start slowing down.
Boy, they made a mistake now. They called "Come and Get It" to a bunch of hungry Rotarians. They line up just like when they were in the service.
Hey, Gavin.
Gavin?
Hello. Hey, Robert. Bob.
Rhino.
Rhino.
We were making 2 sizes.
We got casserole wrap.
Wait a minute. No. 40 bills.
Morning.
Hey, how you doing, Gavin?